Welcome to Reasonable Data Science, the channel devoted to teaching a reasonable amount of data science in a reasonable amount of time. I'm super excited to be recording these series of videos because all of these videos I'm going to be recording are covering one of my favorite passions, which is analyzing stock data. In this video, which is video 1 in the series, I'm going to demonstrate how to import daily stock price data from Yahoo Finance, how to calculate 100 and 200-day moving averages, and then how to create trend charts and candlestick charts. So let's get started. The first item to complete before we can analyze any stock data is to first install the yfinance package. I'm using the Anaconda version of the Jupyter Notebook, and the yfinance package was not included with this Anaconda installation. So I had to install it by using the pip install function. So in any blank code cell, if you say exclamation point and then pip install yfinance, and you were to run that, it should maybe take 10 to 20 seconds, and it should properly install the package into your system. Therefore, going forward, once you have it installed, all you need to do then is say import yfinance, and then I'm just going to give it an alias. I'm going to say as yf. And then the other packages I'm going to be using for this video are going to be the pandas package. So I'm going to import pandas as PD, the numpy package. So import numpy as NP, and then import matplotlib.pyplot as PLT. And then I'm going to import the plotly.graph underscore objects as go. And so the pandas package here, you're probably familiar with that, but that allows you to create data frames. NumPy allows a lot of arithmetic stuff to do in Python. Matplotlib and Plotly, great two packages for learning how to use plots here in Python. And so after you execute that and import those, we're now ready to start downloading our stock price data and analyzing it. So to import stock prices, we need to use the function .download within the yfinance package. So we're just going to say yf.download. And then within this download function, we're first going to specify the stock ticker that we want to download. And so I want to analyze the stock for McDonald's, which I really like the McDonald's restaurant. They just put in a new $5 menu here this month, or last month, which was July, August of 2024. So been pretty excited about that. And I want to see how their stock is responding after doing this new $5 menu. And so if we say in quotes MCD, which is the stock ticker for McDonald's, that's the first argument within the download function. And then we have a bunch more optional arguments we can put in into this function here. So we're going to say start equals 2014-07-31. So the data is going to start in July 31st of 2014. So I want 10 years of stock data, and then I want it to end 2024-0-08-31. So then it's going to end on August 31st of 2024 here. And so if we were to execute that here, you'll then see what this brings in. And it brings in all the data for McDonald's from Yahoo Finance. It brings in the open price, the high price, the low price, the close, the adjusted close, and the volume. And so if we want to create this table and set it as a data frame so we can then analyze it, I'm just going to say df equals our download function here, execute that. And then if we say df.tail, we can then see that the end is August 30th of 2014, and it includes all of the columns. But let's say we're only interested in the open and the close price. We don't need all the other columns. Well, we can specify that by adding 2 brackets on the back side of our download function, and then just say open, and then we're just going to say close. If we were to rerun that execute our tail, you can see it then changes our data frame to just having the open and the close functions only. But I'm actually going to get rid of that because in this video here, I want to be able to use all of the data points for when we build a candlestick chart. And so I am going to erase that. And now we have open, high, low, close, and adjusted close. All right, so this just shows each day's daily price. And so what I like to do is I like to calculate 100-day and 200-day moving averages, because one day can be very volatile for a price. And so if you were to chart that, you'll see a lot of up and down, very volatile prices. But adding that 100 and 200-day moving average really helps smooth the data and gives you a really good kind of barometer or benchmark to use while analyzing stock prices. And so to create a 100-day moving average, I'm just going to say DF, and then I'm going to say 100 SMA. So that's going to be the name of the new column that we're going to be calculating and putting into our data frame here. So we're going to say DF 100 SMA equals DF, and I'm going to calculate the 100-day moving average off the adjusted close price. The reason I'm using the adjusted close price within this data set is because this column here adjusts the close price for any sort of dividends or stock splits, etc. And so this adjusted close is usually the column you'll always want to use when analyzing stock price data, because like I said, it adjusts for dividends, it adjusts for any sort of corporate actions that may influence the close price. And so to add the 100-day moving average, I'm going to create a 100-day moving average column. I'm then going to set that equal to the adjusted close price, and then use the function .rolling. And then within that, I'm going to say 100 for a 100-day moving average, and then just say .mean. And then I'm going to execute that. And if we were to look at df.tail again, we can then see now there's a 100-day moving average in here. If we wanted to make sure this is actually starting to calculate on day 100 in our data set, what we can do is we can use the iloc function, so df.iloc. And since it's a 100-day moving average, the value of this should start on the 100th row in our data set. And so if we said df.iloc of 98 to 105, and we were to execute that, you can see the first value, or row 99 in our data set, is an NAN. And then row 100 here actually has a value calculated. So it looks like, yes, this 100-day moving average is working correctly, and it's starting to calculate an average starting on day 100. Or in Python, row 99, since in Python, row 1 is actually row 0 in Python. If we wanted to add a 200-day moving average, we could just do the same thing. So I'm going to create a new column. I'm going to say df 200 SMA, set that equal to df adjust close, say .rolling, input 200, say .mean, and execute that. If you want to make sure this was also working, where it should start showing a moving average on day 200 or row 199, you would say df.iloc, and then we'd say 198 to 205, and we execute that. There's an NAN value on row 199, and then it starts calculating the 200-day moving average on row 200. So it looks like that's working correctly now. So after I've downloaded the stock price data, I've added in my 100 and 200-day moving averages using that adjusted close column. The next thing I like to do is I like to get a visual of how this data or how this stock price has been trending over the last 10 years. So there are numerous ways you can plot data here using Jupyter and Python, but the one method I'm going to show you is just one way you can do that, where you can have 3 line charts all on the same plot. And so I'm going to start out with the df.loc function. And then within that, I'm going to say df.index is greater or equal to 2014-07-31. And the reason why I use and start out with the loc function is so I can have this date filter in there. So if you wanted to use a different time, subset of the data, you can easily do that by using the df.loc function and then specifying the df.index is greater than some date in the past. And so after we enter in our date filter here, I'm going to say adjusted close in quotes, 100 SMA in quotes, and 200 SMA in quotes. So those are just the 3 columns that I want to select from the data and that are going to be plotted as 3 different lines on our line chart. Then after you've closed off the double brackets here, I'm going to say dot plot. And then inside that, I want to add a legend so we know which line is which column. So I'm going to say label equals adjust close 100 SMA and 200 SMA. And just remember, when you're adding this label argument into the plot function here, remember to use the same order that you used for the columns here. Otherwise, the labels will not match the lines in your chart. All right, so then when you just close off those double parentheses, I am then just going to make this chart a little fancy. I'm going to say plt.title, and then I'm going to say mcd.stock trends. I'm going to give it a y label, plt.y label. I'm going to say price, or we could say price, and then plt.show. And let's run that, and we should have a line chart that outputs with 3 lines on it. So we can see that the blue line here, or the line that's very volatile, is the daily adjusted close price. You can see over this time series as it starts from 2014 all the way through August 2024. It goes up and down quite a bit day to day, but you do see some pretty big changes here, especially around early 2020, which was when the COVID pandemic hit and the stock market dropped quite a bit. You see McDonald's stock fell quite a bit during this time period, but then it quickly bounced back. And ever since then, it's been rising pretty steadily. What's also interesting is by adding in the 100 and 200 day moving average, which smooths this data set out, you can kind of see where today's price is compared to the 200 and the 100 day moving average. And so let's zoom in on this chart by changing our date range. And I'm just going to look at the last 5 years. And so I'm going to change it from 2014 to 2019 in our date filter and just rerun the chart. So it zoomed it in a little bit here. It's a bit easier to see. But when we look at the closing price on 8/30 of our data set, it's much higher than the 200 and the 100 day moving average lines you can see. But what's interesting about McDonald's stock is when the stock goes below the 100 and 200 day moving averages, it looks like it stays down there for a little bit of time and then quickly bounces back and rises above it. And it does that over this time series. It does this very, very often. So pretty much I'm drawing a conclusion of whenever McDonald's stock price were to go below the 100 and 200 day moving average, that might be a really good buying opportunity for McDonald's. Because as you can see, every time it's gone under, it's bounced up and gone higher and higher. At least over the last 5 years, that's been its behavior. So that's just a really quick demo on how to build a 3-line chart here. The last chart I want to demonstrate how to create is a daily candlestick chart. So a candlestick chart is a pretty common chart you'll see when looking at stock prices because it shows the open price, the high, the low, and the close price all on one kind of like candlestick, and then we can trend that over a certain amount of time for a time series as well. So we're going to use the Plotly package for this candlestick chart, which is an awesome package, by the way. And first of all, we're going to say fig equals go, and go is what we gave Plotly the alias of up here in our when we import our packages. So Plotly is the go, that's the alias. So we're going to say fig.go and then dot figure, and then we're going to say data equals in a bracket go.candlestick, and then we're going to say x equals df.index bracket df.index is greater or equal to 2024-07-01. And as you can see, I really like in my charts, I like to include some sort of date filter, because if you were to try and download 30 years of daily stock prices and try and plot that, it's terrible to visualize. So I always try to build some sort of date filter into my chart so I can easily just change that filter and see different slices and dices of the data. And then just for visual sake, I'm just going to go down to the next line here, and then I'm going to say open equals df of open, comma, high equals df of high, low equals df of low. Make sure to capitalize it. And then close equals df of close. All right, and then we just need to close off all of our parentheses and brackets here. So first we're going to close the first parenthesis, and then we're going to close a bracket here, and then we're going to close the last parenthesis. And the Plotly is a really awesome package. It has a lot of great features in it. Some of it is optional, but one thing I do like that I'll show you here is it has a functionality where you can drag your mouse and choose the different slices of time period that you can analyze. And so it makes it really, really easy and very interactive as well. So I'm gonna say fig.update underscore layout title equals MCD trend. I'm gonna say y-axis underscore title equals price. X-axis underscore range slider underscore visible equals true. And we just do fig.show. And hopefully I typed all of that in correctly. We'll see. If I didn't, we'll definitely get an error. But it does take maybe a second or two for this plot to load. But as you can see on the top chart here, that's the daily candlestick chart that we created, which goes from July 1st of 2024 through the end of our data, which is July 30th. What's great about Plotly is when you hover over the data, you can see this little details or this tooltips kind of window open up, which shows the open, the high, the low, and the close. So instead of trying to look at the chart and say, what was the open and the low and the close, you can just hover over on the chart here and it'll give you that little sub window, which is really, really helpful. And so you can look up how to read these candlestick charts, but they're really helpful when you're analyzing any sort of stock. But the other thing I want to show about Plotly is down here at the bottom, there's this range slider. And so you can take your cursor and hold it, and then you can select the date range that you want for. So you can see here, we now only have candlesticks from August 11th through the end of August 30th because I dragged this range slider all the way to the right here. So that's a really cool functionality with Plotly. It makes it very interactive and very, very easy to adjust your charts. All right, so that was a quick demo on how to start analyzing stock prices in a Jupyter Notebook. If this video was helpful, please like and subscribe to my channel. And again, this is just video 1 in a series on how to analyze stock prices. So video 2, which will be upcoming, will show how to dive into the data a little bit more. We'll cover how to calculate logarithmic returns, how to find monthly average returns, and then also how to calculate a beta of a stock as well. And so I hope you continue to watch the videos, and we'll see you soon.